for the general public who doesn't know, the I Am Woman Designed by God was a very unique workshop that Della would do every few years. And I don't know anything about it because men were not allowed to attend. We were not welcomed in that room. And you know, I would love for you ladies who did take it, who do know about it, to I know there's some stuff you're not supposed to talk about publicly. It's supposed to all stay in that room. I know that too. But what you can talk about, I invite you to share some of that experience with the other people listening, because I know that that was life-changing information for people that went.
I'm gonna go first. I need to drop off in a moment, but I think I went through it 3 times. So remember, I said I was fresh out of college when I first started studying at UP, and I thoroughly disagreed with every single thing that was taught the first time that I took I thought it was just, I'm like, I don't even know why I'm here. This is ridiculous. The second time I was like, well, some of it is kind of interesting, you know. The third time I took it, it was like, oh, like you just growing up as a woman and understanding how I'm fashioned and how I work. What we learn is about the aspects of womanhood, of aspects of femininity and the power. And so I just wasn't ready to hear that. Until I was ready to hear that. But I'm glad I kept showing up for it. But I saw Jody laughing because you know what I mean. It was like, this is crazy. And it's just like, but something's right. Something's interesting about it. But I definitely didn't enjoy it at first. I did not enjoy this. I'm a Woman Designed by God. I didn't enjoy it at all at first.
How did we get a copy of it? You off, Cherie?
Well, you know what it is that there were some things that I was hearing through a lens of like traditional, like it felt like behind the times, kind of like, oh, that's old fashioned. And I'm a woman of the new millennium, you know, like it just felt like that's not how this works. And but once it started to sink in me, it was to understand these aspects of femininity that we just hadn't been taught, or you know, it took some time for that to sink into me, to get past the sometimes it might be the way something is expressed, but I started to hear the truth in what she was saying. And Reverend Sherry said it was 100% not feminist. Like it wasn't it was how to love men, how to know who you are, and how to use the gifts of femininity to live a healthy, happy, prosperous life. That's really what it kind of boiled down to. And I didn't
talking around this. It was how to please a man. Don't even. Like we need to just say what it is. It was what do you get with what do you get when you get a man so that you can keep that man, and and how you need to show up. And it was about being the harlot, the you know, like all of these different roles that you play. And my little 20-something years that had come out of liberal arts college, I was mortified. Like, just like, are you kidding me? Like, I went and got a whole A degree, and this is what you're telling me I need to do? I didn't have an ear for it. I really didn't have an ear for it. And I showed up every year because I'm a student. And, you know, over time, you know, you go through enough bumps in life. It was like, it's a little bit of wisdom to what you're talking about.
But it also, lady, it also about how to please yourself.
Right.
You see.
Okay, I didn't hear any of that.
I was there from the very beginning when she started to build the class.
And that made me hear it, but I don't remember any of that. All I remember was what you do with a man.
I know you don't. I know, because I watched you guys. It was like, the muffles your ear. I'm going, oh, they'll get it. Because when you become a woman, as you both are now,
yes,
there is a different sense about what your physical body and your mental body and how you, as she said, we are uniquely created and designed. That's why.
You
Another thing
came
about
at
being
this
designed.
from a different consciousness
Yep.
area, and I appreciate that. But if we had emojis when I first took that thing, it
You
would
would've
simply
got it.
be the one with the head blown. Like,
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing because the beauty of it is when you mature and you kind of start hearing, see, we don't hear according, and what do we say, to the level of our awareness at the time. All of a sudden, in the middle of what you're doing, that awareness is going to come back and go, oh, that's what she meant. Oh,
Right.
oh, now I understand what she meant. Oh. Now I understand.
But you know, it's interesting. I was at a different stage. I think I'm like maybe 8, 10 years older than you guys. I didn't take it that way at all, which is really interesting. And I was still pretty young when I first went to the first seminar, but I felt like it was be in touch with who you are as a woman to live your best life. And your best life, you know, it includes many things: success, careers, prosperity, the man that will make your life come to. I thought it involves men too, but I felt like it was understanding how women, how our bodies work, how we operate to live our best life. So I heard it very different.
that is, we can just have a discussion on this. We can just have a discussion on this because it was the different women that like checked in at different generational levels. And I think you can hear like, I love that like Harriet and Kara, y'all heard something different. I just heard stuff that was like, this just feels ancient. Like just,
I think that's probably the part that stands out, Sherry, is that I think it was there were those parts that, like I said, over time I got to understand it differently because it is the class is much more than about pleasing men. But I think that's the part that was the most like, okay, I'm here because she said she's been on this 25-year honeymoon, and I'm trying to find out the 1, 2, 3s about how do I get this 25-year honeymoon. And so then you go and then she's telling you how to do it and you're like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do that. Because that's not who I am. That's not the power that I am. And it's this opposition. And what she was saying was to value your femininity and to understand the gifts and the power of your femininity.
Absolutely.
And so, but like you said, I didn't have ears to hear that then either. And so I think that's probably why it was so loud, is because it's like, I signed up because I'm looking for my boo thing. And I'm like, I want him to be amazing. You know what I mean? Right. I want to be thinking this crazy.
And I think the concept of serving a man would allow a woman to feel like she's subservient. There was nothing subservient about
nothing.
But she loved Franklin and she knew how to make Franklin happy. So maybe the concept of, maybe a lot of women felt like it's being subservient to a man. There was nothing about that in that at all. It was empowering yourself to love yourself and to see the power in us to love. And so anyway, but it's very interesting. Like we all took it in different ways, depending on what we were raised. I mean, I was married at the time. So maybe I felt like, oh, I know what she's talking about when she talks about that part, because you do have to do things that you thought you'd never do sometimes in a marriage to make things, you know, you might think, oh, what would he like to eat tonight? Now that's not being subservient. I want Gerald to be relaxed and happy while he's home. You know what I'm saying? So it's just very different. We all take it differently.
Yeah.
Well, that's what she was talking about. The whole thing about it was, for me, it's unique. We are uniquely designed, which is so different than what we're taught. Well, you guys are much younger than me, so so it was like, okay, we're taught a certain way to be, and then she said yes and no, but we're uniquely designed. And that was what happened. We are uniquely designed creations of God. So all of who we are. It doesn't matter how we attract. Not attractive. We love ourselves, really, really love ourselves. You can't help but attract somebody who don't love you just as you are, because you're an independent person. You're uniquely, if I kept hearing, you're uniquely designed. And I kept going, okay, what does that mean? It's just physical. It's all of who we are as women. And it's a very important part. Now I'm so happy we've all matured this because we're still hearing parts of it. I got the book, by the way, ladies, I just have to find it.
Yeah, I have to.
I think we will have to, and I say I'll step out of it because it should be done the way it was intended to do with the men out. And you all should do one of these again and really have this conversation.
I think it'd be great.
And all of that. But it's interesting to hear how you all, even individuals that heard the same information multiple times, how the change in perspective gave you new information. I just was listening to a video of Alan Watts where he was talking about that he can give probably very valuable information and speak into a microphone, but your receiving it is now dependent on the clarity of this sound system and what part you're able to hear and what part of the room or where you are. And that's the same thing with our minds and where we are in our own lives. So, of what we can see and what we can hear and how we can use the information. And that's where these books come in handy too, because, many of us read these books ages ago and other people can pick these up and read them, but like it's new information in a new time in our lives.
Yeah, and I think I kicked off this whole discussion, so I'm sorry I don't have the book in front of me, but I came in down the middle really because I got the part of, oh, this is really traditional, like this doesn't seem to match her personality at all. But then as you keep listening, you're like, wait a minute. I'm coming at it from the old point of view of subservience, and she's coming at it from a completely different point of view of power.
Yes.
It's the same thing, but she's coming at it from a totally different perspective in that, the design, the femininity, the softness, all of that was a design. And God doesn't make junk or design by accident. So how are you using those pieces of his design to create your best life, right? And so once I was in that mode, I'm like, oh, this is actually really interesting, to come at it from that point of view. Ladylike is not a state of weakness. It's actually a state of power because it's something that men cannot do. They are not designed to do. So, and how are you using that power to love yourself first and then walk in that self-love in everything you do?